Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Faces of Founders. Today we have a special guest, Maja Nordin from Founders College Student Council. Thank you so much for joining us today, Maja.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. First question is, what is your academic program and what year of study are you in?
So my major is English and my minor is Indigenous Studies. And I'm in my fourth year.
Is there anything that inspired you to take those two together, or if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, so in school, in high school, I was always really, English was my best subject. It was what I excelled at most in. I love to read, I love to write. So it was pretty easy for me to choose that path. And then Indigenous Studies, I'm very passionate about Indigenous history and contemporary Indigenous issues here in Canada facing Indigenous peoples. So that's why I pursued that as my minor.
Wow, you're very gifted at English. That's amazing to hear. I personally really had to work super hard, and a lot of my friends struggled. So that's amazing. And Indigenous issues are always important as well. I'm in human rights, so I know. Amazing. Thank you. Number two, what motivates you to be a leader at the college and to see that positive change is realized for all students?
So I first got involved in student council about 2 years ago. I was a peer health educator for health education and promotion. And part of my role was being on student council as the founder's peer health educator. And my role was pretty small. I only did I think I did 2 office hours a week, and I just went to council meetings. But I really loved being involved in founders college student life. And I loved getting to know more people in my college, and just, getting to know people on council and what they did and their roles and how they service the community. And so this year, I was interested in, I'm vice president of finance, and I was interested in spearheading some projects, ways to give back to the community in terms of financing and just looking at different events that we could put on and looking at different ways that we can, better service our community. So that's why I was motivated to be a student leader, be on student council. And yeah, I love it. I love being on student council. It's a great way to get involved and meet new people and be a part of a cool community, and also be in a kind of like a leadership role. So yeah.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. It's good because as members of student council, you're students, so you see what the other students want, and then you can implement it in ways that are fun and innovative for the students. So that's always great thing to be part of clubs, councils. Very, very extraordinary. All right, number 3, what are some of your favorite things about going to school at York?
So coming back to what I just talked about, I think one of my favorite things is the York community. I've always felt like ever since I came to York, I always felt like I belonged here. I feel like the people that I'm surrounded by are people that I can connect to, can relate to, that have, lots of shared interests, and I've always felt very included. So that's something I really love about York. I've had some really amazing courses and professors, and just met some really cool people. So, and also just all the opportunities at York. So there's so many clubs, there's so many different work study positions. There's so many different restaurants. There's just so much going on. So I think having that variety is I've always really liked that. You can really just do anything you want to do and be anyone you want to be. And I think that's really freeing, and it's really cool.
Tremendous. Yeah. So do you mean more specifically for the restaurant part, York Lanes, or just anywhere? York Lanes is great.
So actually, I have to say that some of my favorite places are not even in the lanes. They're kind of some of the more down low places that, when I say on the down low, as in it's not totally public knowledge. So for example, places like the Orange Snail, or the Absinthe. And even sometimes just going to complex cafeterias, just in the random basements around York. I think that for me, those are kind of my favorite places, because they're good places to study, good place to have a moment alone. Sometimes campus can be really crowded and busy and loud, and it's just very overwhelming. So I love kind of going to those little spots and feeling kind of I have a moment to myself. So
The hidden gems of York, yeah. So they're
yeah, and they actually have some good food and there's some cool spots. I like that they're unique and they're different, not chain restaurants, privately owned. I think it's cool to support those kinds of businesses. So yeah.
yeah, for sure. All right, thanks for sharing. Number four, post university, what would be your dream job? Also, how would you, through your career, like to impact the world around you in a positive way?
So I don't know if I totally have a dream job. I've considered teaching, and I've considered law. I've considered lots of things that I'm interested in. But to be honest, after university, I'm planning on taking some time off to go travel, and just kind of do my own thing for a while. And then I'll probably actually have to, whatever I want to do, things that I'm interested in require like post grad. So for me, I don't really want to jump into that right away because I've been in school, it'll be 5 years. And yeah, I feel like I deserve some time off from from education. But I think mostly that the way that I would like to make a positive impact on the world is to just kind of, carry out the principles and beliefs that I stand by, um, and make sure that whatever you do that you're doing a good job, and that you're kind of everything that you do is aligned with your morals and what you believe in. Because if you're working a job that you feel like doesn't represent who you are, and is actually doing some harm in the world, I personally I could do that because I would have a lot of guilt on my conscience. So I think just it's hard to be perfect, obviously, but just trying to do something that does more good than harm.
Yeah.
Be it whatever field, I think you could apply that to. But yeah, and just having those questions, questioning, what you're doing, and how it's impacting the people around you. And yeah.
It's very important to like what you do. That's important thing that you just said. And it's very interesting that you want to do some traveling. That's always, traveling is good. Do you have any specific, maybe I could change the question a bit. Do you have any dream places that you'd like to travel? Since you
Yeah,
don't have a dream job necessarily?
I would really love to travel South Asia. So I would love specifically to go to India.
Okay.
In my gap year between high school and university, I traveled around Southeast Asia, so Thailand, Cambodia, and Vietnam. And I absolutely fell in love. It was an amazing trip. It was super insightful. It was great for me. And my next trip, I would love to travel South Asia a little bit more. So I'd love to check out India and Sri Lanka and some of those places. So yeah, that's probably on the top of my list. And then after that, I would maybe say like Central America. I've never been to Mexico, so I'd love to go to Mexico.
Wow. Yeah, some awesome places. And I'm sure you'll learn a lot going to these places when you do end up going, and it'll probably be a lot of fun too. So hope you get to go to those places once COVID is done and everything.
Yes.
Um, okay, thank you. And then the final question for this interview here, and we call it as the unifying question that we ask everyone that we interview. So, what has inspired you to study in your specific subject area? Okay, well, you kind of touched on that, but you can talk about it a bit more if you'd like.
Just honestly, just interest. I just wanted to be taking courses that I was interested in. I didn't want to take things that I dreaded going to class, or I was completely unengaged, or I just didn't really care about what was going on. And then I just realized like everyone has different skills, everyone has different strengths. Like you mentioned before, English is difficult for you, and it is for a lot of people. And different subject areas are hard for people, right? I just focused on what I was good at, and I just took things that I was good at, and my life was a lot better, and I honestly, I was just happier. And I think we put ourselves these high expectations that we have to be good at everything. But if you just do what you're interested in, whatever that is, and maybe it's not even academic related, some people are interested in, things that aren't academic related, and that's amazing. And I think just if you pursue what you're interested in, what you're good at, or if you don't know what you're good at, just exploring a lot of different things. I think you'll just be happier in general. And that sounds kind of vague, and then a lot of people will be like, well, how are you going to get a career out of that? But I think those things really do follow. Like if you're just in general doing things that you like to do, like you something will follow, and you will figure it out. You just have to trust that. But even if I made a lot of money, I wouldn't want to do it if I hated my job. Like, what's the point? So I think that's my outlook. I know some people have different outlooks, but yeah, I hope that kind of answers the question.
Very inspirational. Yeah, that's good. I thankfully got better at English, and I tried really hard in grade 12, and I ended up getting an 80, but it was like a lot for me to do it, and it's gotten easier for me.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's gotten easier for me, so I'm very grateful for that. So yeah, for sure, always do what you're passionate about, because it'll always make what you're doing in your job or your life easier, and you can impact more people. So always very important to keep that in mind. All right, so that's the last question I have for you. So thank you so much, Maja, for joining us. And just a reminder, everyone, she's the VP of Finance of Founder Student Council. So thank you so much for coming today, and thank you to all the viewers for tuning in again. All right, and have a great rest of the day. Bye.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Faces of Founders. On the very next episode, we will be having Professor Pablo Idahosa, who is both a college head and a college fellow. Always remember, knowing your community forges stronger unity.